3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Look at that. Welcome to the Dennis and Andy Show. Thank you for that great round of applause because I won the underwear pulling out contest in that short video you just saw.
And it seems like he does every time.
I do. Every time I win that. We are an hour early. No, the clocks haven't changed. We are just here an hour early because our guest soon arriving, Mr. Mike Barron, legendary comic creator Mike Barron, will be joining us shortly. Let's say hi to people in the chat. Michael's here. Hi-de-ho. And Joe Bernardo saying, how about them Niners losing to the Packers this weekend? Oh, Joe, have some confidence in the Niners.
It was a great week.
You got to have some confidence that they'll beat the Packers. I am pulling for the Niners to beat the Packers, of course. What's this now? What a call for Mike M for those Cowboys. What are you talking about? Mike M?
Mike McCarthy.
Oh, what'd he say?
That's the name of your coach.
Oh, well, he should spell out McCarthy.
Why?
Yeah, that last play call was awful. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. That was just so stupid.
The last two plays were not spectacular in any way, shape, or form.
No.
So the question is, while we're waiting for Mike to show up, do you think McCarthy's going to get the axe this season?
I don't know. It's only been 2 seasons.
I know. I'm kind of that way. But they're calling. They got blood in Dallas for him now. Blood. Or is that just because they're Cowboy fans?
He took them to the playoffs. Didn't they go to the playoffs last year too? Wild card?
No, I don't think so.
No, I thought they did.
No, this is the second year they had a four-win season. How does that get them into the playoffs? Maybe in your fantasy world.
Wait. This is the second year they had a 4-win season. What?
No, they had a 4-win season last year. They were awful.
Oh, that's right. They were awful.
Yeah, that doesn't make them a playoff team.
And then Mike gets them into the playoffs. So you never know. I don't think he's going to get fired.
There's a lot of talk about it down there, which I think it would be a shame.
Oh. I think he has one more year, and then if it ends up the same way where they win the East and they tank it in the first round, he's toast. I'd give him one more year before he gets the boot.
Yeah, I know.
More important, Aaron Rodgers is 0-3 against the Niners in the playoffs. Is he?
He is.
Wow.
He is.
Let's go Niners. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, why are you rooting for the Niners? Oh,
because nobody wants to see Aaron Rodgers.
Unfortunately,
nobody wants to see the Packers play the Bucs in the NFC Championship again and then lose.
You know, so Joe, I hate to tell you, the Niners just lost because of Andy. If you go back to our comments throughout all of the fantasy football and regular football season, Andy's predictions are always wrong. They're wrong about everything. He barely made the playoffs. He limped in how he was going to knock me out of the playoffs. None of that happened.
Oh,
how Dallas was going to come up to Green Bay and destroy the Packers and go on to win the Super Bowl.
I don't think I ever said that.
You did, and
I
you
said
can go
they
back,
would
and I know these guys watched it.
I said at the beginning of the year they would win the NFC East. I do remember saying that for a fact. They would win the NFC East. I called it at the beginning of the year. I was right. Just call me Nostradamus.
This is why we have everything on video there.
Quick, Andy, pick the Packers. Let's go, Packers. Dun, 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 dun.
Too late. We know where his heart is.
The fix is in.
It is. He's already called up. Well, even Jerry Jones, with all that money he threw at the refs, sure didn't help.
Oh, please. The refs are never on their side.
What?
Never.
Oh, my God. I can't believe you said that.
Flags for nothing in that game.
Got a Paterzo. He just called you
Nostradamus. Don't talk about Dennis like that.
He's not. I don't predict things like that. I just know fact.
You don't know fact.
Fact.
You don't know squat.
Fact. Packers are in the playoffs.
They got a nice
Cowboys
week off to rest up
are not.
and lose their edge.
Yep, I hear what you're saying. Yep.
At least I have the stones to watch my team when they play.
And he did say this when I did call him.
I
said,
well,
it's just another way that happened. It goes, we're used to it. That's what he said. As a Cowboy fan, we're used to losing. At least he admitted the fact that it's sad and pathetic that the 90s are over.
At least I have the balls to watch my team play and not be like, no, if I watch them, they might lose. Oh, I believe in magical things like that. And look, there goes a unicorn walking by, and a pig just flew over.
The unicorn did just walk by, and then he was killed by a bunch of goblins. And then they drained his blood and removed his unicorn.
I said, Dennis, if the Packers make it to the Super Bowl, will you watch that game?
The Super Bowl.
And he's still on the fence. Oh, you're still on the fence.
No, it isn't that I will watch him. It's you want me to come over to this cursed place. Every time I've watched the Packers at Andy's house, they've lost. There's like this aura, this blackness. It's like this evil presence, and it just sucks everything out of you.
Shit, Cowboys do cowboy things. Oh,
it's true.
What's red and green and blue and white? The NFC East on the couch. Oh, that's true.
Snap.
All right, while we're waiting for Mike, let's look at his current thing he has going on is The Thin Blue Line, graphic novel by Mike Barron. This is a great book. I backed it. It's about a couple cops in the middle of a riot. They have to get their way out of it. It's totally pro-police, as it should be. I was going to say something else about it. Now I'm drawing a blank. Oh, the artist on the book is a current police officer. So I think that is super cool. More football talk. Wait, you're a Packers fan? You don't watch them play? Nope. He's a Poonanny Packer fan.
I watch him once in a while, just not the big important games over at Andy's house. Now, I used to go to all the games when I lived up there. I mean, we had tickets. So there was a place called The Bar, and they had The Bar, and they had buses, and then you get your tickets through them, and they'd have half barrels on the bus, and you would go there and tailgate for since it opened, many hours. It was a blast. But when it comes to on stuff like this, not so much. Not so much, especially coming over to Andy's house. It's just bad luck. It's bad karma. It's just an evil entity.
Turning your cheesehead.
Nope. Because if I don't, we win.
I will say this one thing about this campaign. I never saw this book called Lady Cop. So now I kind of want to go get this first issue, DC first issue special, Lady Cop, just to check it out.
I don't remember seeing it ever. Honestly.
It's new to me. That was one thing that was new to me. But the art in this book looks fantastic. The writing is, obviously solid. Mike Barron, legend in the comic book industry. I think it's going to be awesome. Pro Police, definitely check this out. Of course, I actually have this Essential Edition. It has a lot of great Mike Barron stories in it of the Punisher, Mr. Punisher himself. And look, there's the man himself wearing a classy Nexus shirt. Nexus, one of my first loves in comics was Nexus. I've got the entire run. I love that book. Who would have thought that I'd be friends with Mike Barron down the road? Joe Bernardo says, does Mike own the Cougar copyright? Oh, wait, the Cougar. You mean the Badger? I think you mean the Badger. I believe you mean the Badger. The character decked out in red and stuff.
Or was that the continuity comic?
No, the Cougar?
Isn't that Cougar one of the continuity ones?
No, I don't think so. The Badger is one Mike did at the same time he was doing Nexus. Yeah, Joe says Badger.
Thank God.
Oh, Mike's calling me. Oh. Hold on, Mike's calling me. Hello? Hey, did you click on the StreamYard link? I don't see you. Did you enter the room? Yeah. And you entered the room? You know where it says after you, oh wait, there you are. All right, dude. Bye.
You just popped in. All right, guys.
There he is. What's up, Mike?
Not my brain. My brain is still asleep.
That's okay. No worries. You're here. That's all that matters. How are things?
They're great. They're great.
And are you in Colorado?
Yeah, I'm in Fort Collins, and the roads are like ice right now.
Are they really?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. Is it actually cold in your house? Is that why you have that on, or are you just...
No, I have this on to hide my hair.
Hey, if I had hair to hide, I wouldn't be hiding it. I'd be showing it in full effect.
Well, you've got a very nice skull.
Oh, I thank you.
Yes,
I tried telling... By the way, this is Dennis.
Hi, Dennis.
Nice to meet you, Mike.
Hey, one of the questions we had in the chat, do you own the rights to Badger?
No.
Oh.
And it's been quite a source of contention between First Comics and me over the years. Because I would like to do another series, and the publisher is very difficult to get hold of, very difficult to get hold of. And then it's very difficult to get a response from him. However, I am confident that we will prevail. And it's not like I need to do this right away because I'm working on so many projects now that my time is taken up for the foreseeable future. But I do have a great Badger story planned, and I have a wonderful artist who's ready to do it.
Well, hopefully it gets worked out. I didn't know First was still around.
They're keeping a low profile. They do publish mostly graphic novels. And I don't know where they're distributed, but first purpose in publishing is to parlay those products into film, either television or movies. And that's why First exists. And Ken Levin, the publisher, was the producer of I think The Boys, for one.
Oh.
And is there a TV series, Preacher? Yeah, he also did Preacher.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And he's the producer on both those products, and I think he brokered those deals.
Oh, all right. Huh. Well, what do you know? So here's a question that we always like to start with. What was your start? Like, how did you break into writing comics and stuff? I'm sure you've answered that a million times, but I don't know the answer to it. Usually I'll ask a question where it's like, I know the answer, but for the audience, but I actually don't know.
Well, I was in love with comics, and I lived in Boston for 7 years, and I worked as a journalist. And I tried to draw myself. I drew every day. I got a drawing board. I studied the anatomy books. And, I just didn't have it. But I could always write. I always had faith in my writing. And I moved back to Madison in 77, and I was working at an insurance company. One day in 1981, I got a phone call from a newspaper editor and said, there's some guy down here trying to sell us his drawings, and he draws just like you. So I called Steve Root up, and we agreed to meet on the steps of the student union. Right there on the steps, he opened his portfolio. And my first reaction was, holy shit, And I said, well, what do you want to do? He said, I want to do comics, but I can't write. And I said, well, I want to do comics, but I can't draw. And we were in the right place at the right time, because Capital City Distribution, the second largest distributor in the world at that time, it was a multi-million-dollar corporation with warehouses in several countries, decided they wanted to launch their own comic book line. So I wrote the first 12 pages of Nexus, and by writing them, I meant I drew them out by hand.
Yeah.
With all the word balloons and notes. And my art is good enough that anybody can clearly see what's going on. It's like, it's not bad amateur art, but it's nowhere near professional. And I gave that to the dude, and he penciled, inked, and lettered it. And we showed it to the boys, and they said, yeah, give us 20 more pages. And we were off and running. And they did 3 black and white issues, and then they decided to go color. And they put out 6 color issues before they realized they didn't really know what they were doing. So they decided, and we were young and stupid, we sold the rights to them, which is something I wouldn't do again. And the only reason we own the rights today is because Mike Richardson returned them to us in an unprecedented act of generosity.
Oh, cool.
But when they sold them, it was up between First and Eclipse. And I wanted to go with First because I'd seen their product and they were much closer. They were in Chicago. So we engineered a meeting between Steve and I and the publisher and editor at First Comics, which was Mike Gold was the editor. Mm-hmm. And I forget the publisher's name. He's a great guy. He's no longer with us. He was a horseman. And we met at the Des Plaines Oasis, which was a cafe that stretched across the interstate, over the interstate, midway between Madison and Chicago. It's no longer there. They tore it down. It's unfortunate because it was a groovy place. And they said, yeah, we'd love to publish Nexus and Badger too. And that's how we ended up at First.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I have the whole Nexus run, but I do have the 3 black and whites, and I think isn't it issue 3 of the black and white that had that record in it?
The flexi disc.
Yep, I got that. I love that stuff, man. I was hooked on that as soon as I saw it. I was like, wow, this guy is.
Thank you.
I thought the character was cool. Of course, being an artist or a wannabe artist at the time, because I think when Nexus came out, you said it was 81, right?
Right.
Yeah, I was 12, so I was just, blown away by Steve's stuff.
It was Rick Obadiah was
okay.
The publisher of First Comics.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that stuff was just fantastic. Now, how long did you do that in Badger before you got in? Because from there, did you go to Marvel or?
Well, I don't know. We've been doing it for a couple of years before Carl Potts called me up and he said, Mike, I've been reading Badger and I like it a lot and I want you to write the Punisher.
Oh, cool.
So that's how I ended up writing the Punisher.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. And you had a long run on the Punisher.
Yeah, I did. I wrote issue number 1 through issue number 65 and a whole bunch of war journals as well and some graphic novels.
Yeah, I think. Did you do, I always remember visually when memories come in, it's always the art and stuff. Did you do a one-off? It was a square bound with Mike Harris as the artist. Is that right?
Well, I know Mike and I worked together on the Punisher. I don't recall a graphic novel that we did together, and I can recall all the graphic novels. The
Well, this
biggest
was
one,
comic book size, though. It wasn't the graphic novel magazine size. It was regular comic size, but it was still just a one-off. I don't know. I
I don't
can't
know.
remember.
I'd have to ask Mike because
Yeah.
we're in contact frequently. Mike's in Florida now.
Oh,
And he's doing political cartoons, and I don't know if you've seen them, but you'd love them.
oh, I got to track those down.
Yeah. Well, he's
Yeah,
on
huh?
Facebook.
Yeah. Well, I was in a group with them for a while, so I'll have to look for those. So, well, that's cool. Go ahead. You want to hit him with your favorite question.
Well, yeah, I do. I just wanted to say you're up in the Madison area, so I'm Fond du Lac. That's where I grew up. So I grew up my entire time up in Wisconsin until we left probably about 15 years ago.
Hold on a second.
My
Have you actually heard of Fond du Lac, Mike?
Of course.
See?
So there are more than one person on this planet that knows of Fond du Lac.
See, I keep telling
It's a
him.
one-horse town.
I had a company in Sheboygan and Manitowoc, and Andy's like, those are made-up words. You're just making crap up.
You're just putting,
I'm like,
you're
no,
just putting
dude.
letters together now.
Yeah, and then we were up in Two Rivers, and it's Trivers, and he goes, no, these are all made up words, and I'm like, no, dude, these are real places, and he didn't believe me, so thank you. After this many years, now maybe you believe me.
Well, all you have to do is look at a map.
Yeah, but then he has to pronounce those
Then
hard words like Sheboygan.
Then I have to figure out how to spell Fond du Lac, how to
In-
spell Sheboygan.
In Wisconsin, we have a saying: "I don't want to go to McWanago. I want to walk in Wanawalk."
Have you heard that saying?
Yes.
Oh, God.
So, and then there's Oconomowoc, Muskego. Oh yeah, there's dude. You just have to come up to Wisconsin once, usually, or look at a map because there's great. There's Neopit, Slab City.
Mike, are you a football fan by any chance? Don't do it.
Oh
God
yeah!
damn it!
Woo!
Oh, come on!
That's right. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we started off the show when we were kind of waiting. We've got a bunch of football people in talking because. Yes, I also, and if you can see our logo, I have a cheese head. Shareholder. Are you a shareholder?
No, I'm not a shareholder. I'm thinking about it, though. It's the law. If you're born in Wisconsin, you must be a Packer fan.
It is. It is. When they prick you at birth, you bleed green and gold. Just saying. That's the real color of blood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So we did have a couple of people were asking questions. Joe Bernardo was asking, Mike, of all the comics that you were attached to, which character did you enjoy the best?
Oh, probably Badger.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Badger was one of my favorites. And I, as a kid, I remember picking up E-Man and Badger and Nexus on top of the X-Men. So, I mean, it was for, back then it wasn't just Marvel and DC. And I picked up Superman once in a while or Batman once in a while, but those were all great comics. And then when, so did you read comics? You read comics a lot when you grew up.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. What do you remember the first comic book that you picked up and or were given?
Uncle Scrooge.
Really?
Oh.
Nice.
And, for students who of the comic form or people who want to understand writing and illustration, there's no better comic. Karl Barks was a genius at both. A genius. I don't think he ever wrote a bad story.
Yeah, Karl Barks was great. What do we got here? Let's see. P. Kelly, go Bears. Love Andy Chicago Bear stuff. Well, thank you very much. But the Bears were just, I enjoy doing the art for the Bears when they had me do it, but they're sad.
Well, you never know. They did get rid of their GM and head coach, so you never know where they're going to go.
Jeff Butler, if I remember right, Jeff Butler did a long run on the Badger, didn't he? Wasn't he?
Well, Jeff did quite a few issues. Bill Reinhold did a lot more issues than Jeff, but Jeff created the design with some input from me. and he did a number of highly memorable issues, and he's still doing commissions of the Badger, and he did one recently. And if you like, I'll send it to you on Facebook via Messenger, and you can show it if you want, because it's pretty good.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Yeah, I like Jeff's stuff. Jeff also did After Badger for Now Comics, if I remember correctly. Didn't he do some Green Hornet for them?
You bet.
Yep. A friend of mine back in the early 90s, I mean, I'm still friends with him, but he was a huge Green Hornet fan. He was friends with the late actor that played the Green Hornet, whose name I'm blanking on now.
You know, I had lunch with that guy once at a con, along with my friend Rodgers, who did a little comic writer. Let's see, who played the Green Hornet?
Was it Van something?
Yes, you're right. It was Van Williams.
Van Williams, that's it. That's right.
You know,
Van Williams.
This is the illustration I just sent you.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
He did this in the last year.
I will share the screen right here. There it is. That's cool. Yeah, I always like the look of the Badger. It's just a very striking costume. It's cool.
Yeah, the only thing that bugged me was the skin-tight leggings. I always wanted baggy pants, and later we got baggy pants.
I was going to say, the Bill Reinhold stuff, he had baggy pants, didn't he?
Baggy pants. I kept telling Bill, baggy pants.
Yeah, because he's a fighter.
Right.
So, got to have the movement and stuff. That's cool. And then how did you, because you've worked for DC. I mean, you've worked for everybody. How did you transition over to DC, or when was that?
Well, DC hired Mike Gold as editor and took him away from first. And Mike asked me to write The Flash. And so I began writing for DC and did quite a lot for them. I did some Hawk and Doves. But aside from Flash, the most memorable property was Dead Man with Kelly Jones.
Yeah.
Because it was on Dead Man that Kelly Jones became Kelly Jones. Because he'd been waiting for that material all his life. He wanted to draw horror. And my main insight into Dead Man was that he was not a superhero. He was a horror character.
Right, right. Oh, yeah, that was another one as a kid. Well, no, wait, I'm trying to think. Dead Man was that like 89? Do you remember? 88? I can't remember, but I remember seeing it going, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember seeing it and seeing Kelly's take on Dead Man and just like going, holy crap, that is awesome. And, you know, coming from, I'm a huge Neil Adams fan. So, you know, the only thing I knew about Dead Man before that was the Neil stuff and then that 4-issue miniseries that Jose Luis Garcia Lopez did. And, you know, it was just your basic superhero, you know, build and stuff. But, man, when Kelly was like, yeah, I don't think so. And it was just so freaking cool, you know?
I'd love to work with him again, but Kelly's all booked up.
What's that?
Kelly's like me. I mean, he's got so many projects on his plate that he can't see daylight ahead. I'm sure Kelly's never missed a deadline in his life.
Oh, I know.
But we would like to work together again. As for Wolverine Badger, no, you know, it never occurred to me at that time because I didn't think Marvel would go for it. Not that I ever asked anyone, but they were very protective of Wolverine at the time.
Yeah, no, I believe it. That would have been cool. What's up, AJ Tom saying hi? Thank you for joining. And to us two jabronis, you know, if I could read that tiny print before I highlighted your comment, I would never have highlighted your comment. But I'm too far away from the screen, so the only way I can read it is to highlight it.
Well, shout out to AJ Tom. We got the books. Thank you very much. I got all those Star Trek books you sent. That was absolutely wonderful. I can't wait when I get back from Florida. I will be cracking them open and going through them.
Mike Paterzo wants to know, since you were at the start of The Punisher, what are your thoughts on the current version?
Well, Mike, we've covered this in great detail. It's been covered by Bounding Into Comics. If you go to Bounding Into Comics and look up Mike Barron on Punisher, and Chuck Dixon and I have appeared on several shows discussing it. But my view of the Punisher is that I approached the book as a straight crime comic.
Mm-hmm.
And for 3 years, there are no superheroes, robots, science fiction, or anything like that. And that's, to me, how the Punisher should operate. I don't believe he belongs in the Marvel universe. I think he operates best alone. As for this latest ruckus about him becoming the head of the hand with the ridiculous new logo, I don't think they really understand the Punisher's appeal. I could be wrong, but to me, it just looks like a ridiculous clusterfuck. And as far as the use of the logo by military and police, I'm all for it. It's an honor that they take that symbol for themselves, especially the military, because when they're in the field and they're dealing with an enemy, that symbol means you're going to get it good and hard. And that's what the military should do. As for the police, it's simply a statement of their commitment to protect the innocent.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. Let's see.
Joe had one.
Wait, I thought I already got
No.
We did. We answered that.
Oh.
Yeah, we answered that. What's it? I didn't even. When was the Punisher black?
Oh, I'll show you. And that was after Carl got kicked upstairs, and we got a new editor. It was a bit of a gimmick guy, and it was Dan's idea to turn the Punisher black. But I went along with it, and in fact, I look back on those Punishers very fondly. Let me just send you a graphic right now so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, send it to me. Yeah, because I don't remember that.
You're gonna love this.
Obviously, like, what was the story behind it? Like, what happened to Frank? Wait, this isn't actually supposed to be Frank Castle.
Yeah, and he had to go into hiding for some reason. He needed a disguise. Now, this is not as far-fetched as it sounds, because there's a book called Black Like Me. It's a true story about a white reporter who wanted to experience what it was like to be a black man in America in the 60s. And he took a drug which darkened his skin sufficiently that he could pass for black. And also, we have fake blacks today. Witness Rachel Dolezal.
Oh, of course.
Or Sean F. King, whom we call Milk, Talcum X. Because it's an advantage, of course. It's an advantage in getting hired. You get special benefits.
Oh, wow.
And, it's a clusterfuck. And Monday was Martin Luther King's birthday. And Martin Luther King said he looked forward to the day when men would be judged by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, that makes him an enemy of today's political climate, where we do exactly the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems. How long did that storyline last? Do you remember?
I think it was about 6 issues.
Oh, all right. That's good.
They haven't reprinted that, surprisingly. I should ask them to reprint that.
Yeah, that's that is one that I think that might have happened when I was a professional and I just don't remember it. The first image you sent really rings a bell, and I'm trying to think who drew it because it looks very familiar. But
let's see who drew that.
I don't recall.
Man, I remember this artist. Like his name just escapes me. He's a very fine artist. And he did some nexuses too.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying. Oh, wait. Not Fred Haynes.
No. If I had a stack of books here, I'd plow through them and find his name. But Hugh Haynes.
Hugh Haynes. That's it. Yes.
Haynes.
That's it. Now I remember. Cool. Well, let's talk about Thin Blue Line. Let me just grab it here. I was trying to talk about it a little bit more, but you can expound on it better, I'm sure.
Well, Thin Blue Line is the story of 2 police officers trying to survive the night in a riot-torn city. And just as I ripped stories out of the headlines when I was writing Punisher, I ripped this one right out of the headlines of the summer of 2020 because anybody was home that year, and we were all stuck at home because we were terrified to go out. We were watching TV, and city after city going up in flames, dozens of people murdered, thousands of small businesses destroyed, and always in front, facing the camera, some member of the lick spittle explaining, these are mostly peaceful protests.
Right.
And then politicians started to call for defunding the police. And like any rational person, my first reaction is, what the fuck?
Right. Why the hell would you do that?
Civilization depends on the rule of law. You're either for the rule of law or you're not. We've seen the results of defunding the police in every major blue city. Crime has skyrocketed. Murders are up over 50%. Downtown New York City, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, Minneapolis, they're all ghost towns now. Their police departments have been destroyed. Hundreds of officers have either quit or they no longer respond to calls because they know that in this climate, they're not going to get a fair shake. Now, we all know they're bad cops, but this story isn't about them. And I know a number of police officers, and everyone that I know is a decent, civic-minded person who joined the force to be a positive force in their community. And what they're doing is living the second law of writing, which is show, don't tell. And by that, I mean, if you want to be a good person, don't tell everybody what a good person you are.
Right.
Go out and do good things. And most of the police officers I know are that kind of person.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't probably know nearly as many as you do, but I know a couple, and they're all great. I mean, and I had, when I was a teenager, I had run-ins with some bad ones, and it's not just because I was a teenager. It was, this one cop would harass my buddies and I. I grew up in Maryland, and the dude would he knew the cars we drove, and he would just pull us over for no reason. And, one time he pulled us over. There's like four of us in my friend's GTO, and he had us all get out of the car, and he asked my friend who was driving for the keys, and we're like, for what? And he goes, just pop the trunk. So we popped the trunk, and he took the keys, threw them in the trunk, shut the trunk, and then just left.
What a prick.
You're like, dude, what the hell?
I have to emphasize that the story is not preachy or didactic at all. There are no lectures. It's pure drama from the first page to the last. Every panel pops. Every word counts. You're going to love it. It's the best comic book story you're going to read all year. The campaign is active right now at thinbluelinecomics.com.
Yep, and I got it right here. It's on Indiegogo. Is it still alive on Kickstarter too, or is that one over now?
No, the Kickstarter is the one that's alive. Kickstarter is the one that's alive. Indiegogo is in demand, which means you can order the book through Indiegogo, but the perquisites at the certain levels are all spoken for. Right.
And I know you added the artist edition level right here, which is really cool. So nice oversized hardcover. I'm going to play the trailer just because I dig it, and I dig the voiceover.
That's Sam Elliott.
Beginning with issue number 1, Mike Baron wrote Marvel's The Punisher for over 5 years, approaching it as a straight crime comic, without any superheroes, aliens, or robots. Over the course of 60 issues, Baron elevated the gritty anti-hero into one of the most popular and enduring characters in the Marvel Comics universe. Now he brings that same ultra-realistic intensity to his latest graphic novel, Thin Blue Line. In the middle of a long, hot summer, a police shooting ignites a city. Activists, opportunists, and provocateurs descend to riot, loot, burn, and kill. Thin Blue Line follows Officer Valeria Baca and her partner as their detail guarding the mayor turns into a battle for survival. Ride along on this harrowing tale of two brave law enforcement officers fighting for their community and their own survival in a world gone mad. Eisner winner Mike Baron has created an alarming tale that unflinchingly examines human fallibility on every level. Along with penciler Joe Arnold, himself a full-time police officer, and talented anchor Jeff Slemons, they've created a moving and entertaining story ripped straight from today's headlines. Thin Blue Line exposes the defund the police movement and its consequences for society, but several comic book companies have refused to publish it. Now we're asking you to join the effort to distribute it independently and help support the men and women of law enforcement. Get your copy of the only graphic novel to offer an unflinching and not always flattering look at the men and women of law enforcement during a time when we need them the most. Not all heroes wear capes. It's a thin blue line between the rule of law and a world of chaos. Which side are you on? Thin Blue Line by Mike Barron. Order now on Indiegogo.
That's awesome. How did you hook up with? How did you find the artist?
But Joe and I have been friends for years, since long before he became a police officer. He served in Iraq. He was with the military, and then he moved out here. And I would have a monthly meeting at my house we called the Comics Conclave, and all the local comic book creators would meet, and we'd drink beer and talk comics. It was a lot of fun. Gabe Eltai was another member of our little group.
Yeah.
I want to point out that the campaign is live now on Kickstarter. It's thinbluelinecomics.com. I just put that in the private chat.
Oh, I'll pull that up.
Okay, that would be great. Ragu wants to know what are the plans for Florida Man graphic novel #2, and it just so happens that's next on the plate. It's been written for a year, and we're going to start that campaign as soon as we close out Thin Blue Line. We have a terrific artist for that. And the second Florida Man graphic novel is even funnier than the first.
Cool. Okay, so let's... And there is the Kickstarter one, and then I will also put that here as well. So there's the link for that as well. So that's cool. That's really cool that you knew the guy and he's an artist and stuff too. That's awesome. Have you ever done a ride along with a cop?
Yes.
I have done one of those. I've only done one. I did it about 2008. And I remember sitting at, so I had to be there at 6 a.m. And this is here in Charlotte where I live. And they were like, you got to be here at 6 a.m. I had to fill out paperwork and stuff. I had to wear business casual, so I had to wear khakis. I couldn't wear jeans. Had to wear a collared shirt. It was around fall, so I didn't need like a winter coat, but I had just a sport jacket on. And I remember sitting there at roll call, and after the I guess sergeant or whoever did the roll call and stuff and whatnot, he's like, and we've got a ride along today. And he introduced me and he goes, and who are you with? Because he thought I was like a reporter or something. And I go, myself. And they just looked at me, and I'm sitting in the back. So, all the heads turn like, 10 or 12 cops. And I go, I'm just a comic book artist that wants to do a ride along. So he pairs me up with this officer. We get in the patrol car, and he's pointing stuff out in the patrol car and stuff. And he goes, in here, this button releases the shotgun. So if I'm not in the car and you see the shit go down, you hit that button and grab that gun.
Did you get a ride along coin?
No, I didn't. They didn't have those here.
So, well, one of the things that's been gratifying about this campaign is that police officers have been contacting me from all over the country, expressing their gratitude. And one guy reached out to me. He says, man, I wished you lived in Colorado so we could do a ride along. So I wrote him back. I said, well, guess what? And I invited him and his family over for dinner. We had him up for dinner. They were a great bunch. He had a son. And one of the reasons he was happy about the book is because the son was catching a lot of flack in high school.
Yeah.
Like people said, oh, your dad's a cop, or you're a fascist stooge, blah, blah. But we got to know him, and it was a great dinner. And his whole department chipped in. They gave me a flag signed by every member of the department, it was the sheriff's department, and a couple of ride-along coins and some other mementos. And one of these days, when I get a chance, I'm going to do ride-along with him.
That's cool.
That would be cool.
But we also have a number of police officers who are also artists contributing to the book. And some of them are
nice.
very good artists.
It's funny, a friend of mine in town just retired this past December from the force after 20, 25 years, whatever it was. And he's an artist. He colored a job I did for heavy metal. We were looking for somebody, and he's like, well, if you want, I could give it a whack. And I was like, okay, but I can't guarantee anything, because I had no idea. I just knew him as a police officer, and pleasantly surprised. So he colored like 24 pages of this job and stuff. And yeah, you got to have something else to do. Hey, here's a question.
We were both asking about
I've never seen this book before, and now I'm like, I want to go get this. Do you actually own this book?
No, Chris Brawley has that book, but you're going to be hard-pressed to find it, because since we started this campaign, everybody's looking for that book.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder who did the art on the inside of it, because that's definitely 70s. And I want to find it.
It should be easy to find.
Oh, I bet I can track one down from a couple guys in town. But that's so cool. I saw that, and I'm like, I got to get that book now. Lady Cop. Love it. So here's the campaign on Kickstarter, guys.
First issue appeared in 1975, was created by Robert Kanigher. Let's see. What does it say? See, they don't list the artist. That's shameful.
Google Lady Cop #1, Dennis. See if you can find it.
No, I don't know who drew it. Well, I have to find it to find out who drew it.
Dennis is looking too. Who was your this might put you on the spot, but I'll ask it, and you can always say, I'm not going to answer that. Did you have a favorite artist on The Punisher working with?
Well, I had a number of artists that I would love to work with again. One of them, of course, is Bill Reinhold.
Oh, yeah.
And, Will Sportasio drew an issue or two. And there was a Canadian artist named Neil Hansen who signed his work Spider. It was one of the greatest artists I've ever worked with. But Neil hasn't put a pencil to paper in years. He said he sat down and tried. He just can't draw anymore.
Oh.
And it just was bewildering to me, because Neil also did a number of Badgers, and he was unique, just a unique artist. He did a series for Marvel's Epic line called Untamed, and you can probably pick those issues up dirt cheap, and you should, because the art is just extraordinary. It's like you've never seen anything like it. It's like the first time you saw Neil Adams or Jim Lee or Steranko.
I've heard of that book, Untamed. I'll have to look at it. It looks like the artist for this
John Francis Rosenberger.
Oh.
He was occasionally credited as John Deal.
Well, there you go.
That answers that.
Well, let's see. Randy, thank you for the $5 super chat. Mike, I don't think you drink anymore, so I sent Andy a beer to drink on your behalf. Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you,
I'll
Randy.
take that. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it. Well, Dennis and I will have to split it, which is difficult because Dennis likes that dark, nasty beer.
Well, you got to get a malt liquor.
Oh, God.
We were just talking about that.
Mike remembers that from man, I've never had a malt liquor, so
I have.
He asked me if I had ever had a malt liquor, and I'm like, Colt 45, baby, 40s.
Yeah.
Schlitz?
No, the Schlitz there was Schlitz, but no, it was the Colt.
Because of Billy D, right? Because of Billy D.
That's what was in the store.
Because of Billy D.
That's right. Everybody, Everybody had I can't believe you haven't had a malt.
No, man. Gross.
Well, I know what we're doing one weekend.
Oh, look at that. Another little super chat here. Beautiful. Let's see. $1.99 from TC. Mike, what inspired the concept character, the Merc?
Well, I couldn't have Nexus run around shooting these rays out of his eyes and his hands without any explanation. There had to be a reason. There had to be a source for his power. Every superhero has a source for his power. And because Nexus was a reluctant executioner of mass murderers, I decided that the source for his power was an insane alien. Now, if we were to encounter an alien species, we might never be able to understand them, period. So in that sense, all alien species are insane. The idea that we can meet an alien species and converse with them and have rational conversations is pie in the sky. It's wishful thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But this insane alien was kind of omniscient, and he'd been around and he'd seen a lot of different races. And he chose Nexus to be the conscience of his race because he thought he was doing good in his twisted mind. So he turned Nexus into a reluctant executioner. And the reluctance was in this sense that he would send Nexus these dreams of these horrific crimes committed by mass murderers.
Yeah.
And when Nexus woke, he knew instinctively that he had to kill the mass murderer, or the dreams would continue and they would kill him.
Oh, that's cool. When you and Steve first started Nexus, was like, did you present to Steve like, hey, I got this idea and this is it, like whole cloth, or did you guys go back and forth on the story stuff?
I pretty much just drew those first 12 pages out by myself. I knew he wanted to do superhero comics, so
Yeah.
I wrote to his strength. Raghu wants to know some cool bands. Well, guys, if you liked early Springsteen, but you don't like later Springsteen, there's a guy named Nato Coles. Nato, N-A-T-O-C-O-L-E-S. Nato Coles and the Blue Diamond Band. And it's just great rock and roll.
Oh, cool. And I got to look that up too. What do we got here? The Ragu Overlord. What is cool band Mike is current? What is a cool band you're currently listening to? Did you just answer that?
I did, but I listen to a new band every day because I'm still reviewing records for a friend of mine. He's got a website. It's called popgeekheaven.com.
Oh, cool.
Popgeekheaven.com. And I contribute reviews regularly. And every year I say it, and every year it's true. 2021 was one of the best years in pop music in history, but you would never know it reading the standard music press or following the big music companies or the award shows. They are clueless. The type of music I like is called power pop. And you all know what it is. The Beatles, the Beach Boys, Cheap Trick, bands like that. They have a driving rhythmic beat, exquisite bridges and hooks, and often harmonies. And that's the kind of stuff I love. This week I've been listening to the Hush Drops, which is another great band. There are so many. Wanderlust put out a 3-disc set last year that just blew my mind. There's not a bad song on it. It's just terrific stuff. When you want to know where the good music is, go to popgeekheaven.com or else powerpopaholic.com. Those are the two sites that cover this music regularly.
All right, hold on. I'll type those in. What was the first one? Pop what?
Popgeekheaven.com. I'll put them in the private chat.
Is it? Oh, no. He bailed himself by accident.
Uh-oh.
Evan, A-N?
HEVEN.com.
Oh, wait till he comes back in for that next one. He pulled himself out. Oh, that's too funny.
It is funny.
That's
usually
hysterical.
you knock me out on purpose. This was purely accidental.
That's funny. Man, I really wish that they would do a Badger collection, and I really wish that he'd get the rights back because I'd love to see a new Badger story.
I know.
But a Badger collection would be cool. An omnibus because there were so many of them.
Yeah, on it. No, I still remember. I loved Badger.
Oh yeah.
At that time. We'll see if he makes it back in.
I think he will. Oh, look, my neighbor's cleaning his bike. Motorcycle, that is. I can see right out my window to my neighbor and see what he's doing. Guys, well, until Mike gets back in, we hope you enjoyed the chat with Mike, and definitely go check out Thin Blue Line. Dennis and I are both backers of it. We're very much looking forward to it. So I think it's going to be a great story. Let's see. What's you want to know? How did I meet Mike? Through Ethan. So through the Comic Kings show we do on Ethan's channel Monday night, and through the Twitterverse, and well, we've been friends on Facebook. I always say friends with air quotes for a long time, but I haven't actually talked to him until recently. There you are.
I don't know what I did wrong.
That's okay.
I can barely use this computer.
About Legion's Arts. Who are they? What do you know about Legion's Arts? I don't know much. So,
all right, I just put those 2 websites in the private chat.
Oh, cool.
Allegiance Arts. I just finished writing the Saints for them. Let me show you a copy of the graphic novel. I can find it.
Oh wait, that's Mitch, right?
Yeah, Mitch Brightwell.
Yeah, Mitch. Yeah. Because I got
Oh man,
I got his book.
I'm just falling to pieces all over here, boys. There it is.
The Saints was just the campaign. Yeah, that's the one that the artwork in that is freaking. Hold on, I'll solo screen you. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I wrote this. They're shipping a graphic novel to backers, and it will appear in Walmart.
Yeah, dude, I love going into Walmart and seeing those in Walmart with their display and stuff.
It's about a secret group of archaeologists who are fighting to preserve the world's few remaining undiscovered archaeological sites and protect them from tomb raiders and vandals like ISIS. You remember about 20 years ago, ISIS went into Afghanistan and blew up these beautiful Hindu temples. And that's what it's about. And it's very exciting. It's just a terrific read, terrific art. There's no superheroics about it, but there's a lot of action.
What is your, I've always actually, because usually we've had more artists on the show than writers. What's your writing process when you start a book?
Well,
you don't just start page 1 and start going to town, do you?
No. Very rarely. I used to do that. As I said, I used to draw the comics out by hand. Yeah. And for anybody who wants to create comics, I recommend that because it taught me many things. I take a notebook like this and I just draw a big rectangle on it and divide it up into panels. And sometimes I just draw the first panel and I think to myself, well, what's interesting? What's going to grab the reader? And then I draw that panel and then I think, well, what happens next? And the beauty of this form of writing is it forces you to think what happens next, which is the essential question in all fiction. What happens next? The reader has to care before he turns the page. It also taught me how much weight a page could carry. And by that, I mean, how many panels, how many words, when do you blow it up to show the big scene? And when do you compress it into 5 or 6 smaller panels of people talking? And it also taught me to dole my words out like a miser, because we're all sick of comics, which are block after block of texts, like Soviet architecture.
Right.
So I use dialogue sparingly. I use it for characterization to tell us what kind of person that is, and sometimes to advance the plot. But one thing I don't do is have 2 characters advancing the plot by talking back and forth about what's going to happen and what happened, what's going to happen next. Which brings us to rule number 2, which is show, don't tell. And as I said, that applies to life as well as to comics. However, these days, I make a bunch of notes by hand in my notebook. And when I have accumulated enough that I can see the outlines of the story, I write an outline. And the outline, aside from being a roadmap for me to follow, is also an advertisement for the book, in that I make it entertaining to read. And I want people to read the outline and say, holy shit, where's the book? I got to read the book now. and then I proceed to the book. And invariably, I veer away from the outline at some point.
Right.
But by then, at the point I veer away, I see the characters and the plot clearly enough that I know where I'm going. And if I ever come to the point that I don't know what happens next, I don't force it. I close that page and I turn to another project.
Right. So what was the most amount of books you ever wrote in a month?
7 or 8, I think I had one.
Really?
Month. Yeah.
What's a comfortable amount for you to write in a month?
Well, if I'm writing a monthly comic, I could probably do 2 or 3 comics a month because I need time to think about them.
Right.
And I'm also turning out novels, and I have to turn out 3 novels a year to make it pay. And I just turned in my 9th biker novel, and I'm very proud of it. It's going to blow your mind. Biker is my hard-boiled crime series. It's modern noir about a reformed motorcycle hoodlum who goes to prison, where he finds God and comes out determined to turn his life around. His name is Josh Pratt. And if you just go to Amazon, you write Biker by Mike Barron, they'll all pop up. There are 8 out now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and he's my series character. He was inspired by John D. MacDonald's Travis McGee, who's one of the main influences on my writing, and probably the reason I'm writing novels today, because those novels blew me away when I was a kid. And I thought someday that's what I want to do. And I'm not alone. There's so many good writers today, famous writers that were inspired by John D. MacDonald. It's funny.
What's the typical page count on one of your novels?
Well, I don't know, but I always try to write 80,000 words, and Travis McGee's novels were shorter than that. They were often in the 65,000 word range. The one I just turned in was 79,000.
Wow.
But I think it's one of the punchiest yet. So
when you write a novel, do you do the same thing? You start with like an outline and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What's 80,000 words relate to, Dennis? Come on, you're a math guy.
80,000
well,
words.
let's take a look. I have a Badger novel right here.
Depends on font and everything.
Oh God, now you're just getting all annoyed. Oh, what's this? Hold on, I'm so
serious. A Badger novel. And
that's a novel?
Yeah, it is.
So you're allowed to do that? You just can't do comic book stuff?
I said, Ken's not. He gave me permission to do this, and I sent him the book. And this is 394 pages long. If I get the time, I'll write another one. But right now, I'm closing in on finishing my 2nd Nexus novel, which was recently published by Wordfire Press.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find that at Amazon as well.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's awesome, man. Anything else you want to plug? Because we're going to wrap it.
Let's mention Bronze Star.
Oh, yeah, let me pull up. I'll pull up. You want me to pull up that page
Sure.
you sent me?
Yeah, this is a Western I'm working on with Pat Broderick, and it's the best work of Pat's career. He says it. I say it. Everybody who has seen the art says it. And we will start a campaign to bring this out sometime this summer. But next is Florida Man graphic novel number 2.
That's cool. All right, here's the page from this by Pat Broderick. Pat is somebody I've actually known for about going on 30 years. So I first saw Pat's work on one of my other favorite characters, Captain Marvel. So.
Yep. Man, I wish people could see this thing up close and personal, because it's just amazing. The detail is just stunning. And Pat has penciled and inked 26 pages so far.
Oh, yeah, I can't really. Yeah, it's not going to get any bigger, unfortunately.
But if you go to Pat Broderick's Facebook page and scroll down, he posts a lot of the art there.
So how many pages has he done, you said?
He's finished 26 pages completely.
And how many is it going to be?
26, 25, 24, 48. It's going to be 56 pages.
And do you guys have a colorist lined up yet, or?
Pat has a colorist he wants to use, so we're going to check him out.
Cool. Nice. Western. That's cool. That seems really suited for Pat, especially with the amount of, his rendering style and stuff. It's very organic. It kind of lends itself to that genre. So I think that'll be really cool. Any other questions, Dennis?
Nope. I think we're good. I appreciate this. This was fun.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And Mike, I'm sad that the Niners are going to win this weekend, but I think you'll recover.
We should make a little bet on that.
I don't have a dog in the hunt. My team fell to the stupid Niners over the weekend, so in a very pathetic fashion. So,
all right.
Go Pack.
Go Pack.
That's right. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.
I told him he could become an owner in the Packers, get a shareholder, switch allegiances, and actually do something worthwhile.
Son, I've been a fan of the Cowboys since I was a wee lad. I'm not changing now. They are America's team, Dennis.
I know. For the last 25 years, a lot of salty tears. A lot of salty tears.
Whatever. Okay, so last question. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be a Packer next year?
Yes.
Right there.
There it is. There it is. I love that answer.
I only wish you could answer that quick. I asked Dennis that question. He hems and haws before he can actually give an answer.
So he asked me that right when he wanted to go play, be the host of Jeopardy. Is he going to be a Packer? And I'm like, really? It's unfolding. Let's find out what's going on. And then we get to hear it. You asked me every week. Every week you ask me.
Right, but you're not as definitive as Mr. Barron is here.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I cross my fingers that it will all work out. I mean, what a great tandem. 39 and 10 for 3 seasons. That's a great combination.
I assume you've attended Packers games before, Mike?
I have.
Favorite one?
Well, I only went to one because of my friend Milton Creep, he was the owner of Capital City Distribution, and he has season tickets. And Brett Favre was the quarterback, and they won. That's all I can remember.
You don't remember who they played?
Nah.
Oh. Well, how long ago was it?
Oh, jeez.
2000s or 90s?
It was probably in the late 80s.
You want to tell me your Brett Favre story?
I did meet Brett Favre, so I went to college in Oshkosh, which also was a real place.
I've heard of Oshkosh.
Yes, and Samuels, they would do a Tuesday show after the Pack games. It was a little radio show that they would do out of Samuels, which was the Holiday Inn. It was like the bar in the Holiday Inn. So every week they had one Green Bay Packer that would come in. And I think this was like 3 weeks after we got Favre on the trade from Atlanta. And then they were like, oh, we've got this Brett Favre guy coming in. I'm like, oh, the backup quarterback. And I was like, we got Don the Magic Man Mikowski, but I'll still go because I would love to do it. But you always got to bring one of your cards or a book or something to have them sign, and you could meet them and sign, afterwards. Well, he actually was a great interview. He was a lot of fun. He reminded me of half my friends. He was a down-to-earth guy. So I at least got up to talk to him, but the only card that I had was him and his Atlanta Falcons, his rookie cards. I'm like, I could care less about that. So I didn't bring a card. So I still went up and talked to Brett, and we were done. And then I went up to the bar, and I was getting a brat up at the bar. And he was up there getting something, and we were just chatting for a minute. And then, however it came up, we got talking about our birthdays. And he goes, and I was like, you're what? He's October 10th of 69. And I'm like, I'm December 10th of 69. And I go, I hate you. And Brett looked at me, and he's like, why would you hate me? And I'm like, we're 2 months apart. I'm still going to college with a huge amount of debt, and you're playing football for my favorite team in the entire world. And he just burst out laughing. But it's just not fair. Just wasn't fair.
Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
It is.
So.
It is.
So, That's his Brett Favre story.
It is. That was my. I don't know why he wanted to hear it, but I do have my signed Brett Favre jersey over my fireplace. So life corrected itself later on.
There you go. Well, Mike, thank you so much for taking time out to join us. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And I will see you online and on the Kings. So
Okay.
All right, Mike. Thanks a lot,
Mike.
man. Take care. All right. Before we go, of course, if you haven't yet, please go check out my book, First Man. It's in demand right now. You can reserve your copy today. 64 pages of superhero action, no SJW BS, just fun superhero comics like you remember them. Please check it out and get yourself a copy. I'm working on the book daily. There's artwork here. The link is in the description below, so you can go check it out. If you like good, fun superhero stories, you will love this book. This is a passion project of mine. And thank you guys for joining us again. Thank you to Mike once again as well. And we won't be back next week because Dennis is taking a little vacay.
Yes, I will see you the week after when I return. I am putting up the quick flips. I started today. I'll finish tomorrow morning before I skedaddle out of state. And we did go see Scream. So we might be able to hop on tomorrow morning. We were just talking about it. Maybe want to talk about it. So
That's
we
right.
did see that the movie Scream, and we have been watching Peacemaker. So at some point we are going to want to talk about Peacemaker. Maybe when I come back.
And February 2nd is when we're back, and Dale Keown will be a guest on the show. So join us as we chat with Dale and other stuff. Until next time, thanks for joining us, and bye-bye, everybody.
Live long and prosper.
Luke Henry, after kicking Monarch's ass to the depths of space, is back on Earth. And now he's looking to save the world from the Fourth World Foundation. Sure, he had help from Penumbra before, but she's not helping him this time. He's got to face it on his own. Look at these four people. He's coming for a villain known as Adonis. He'll do it. You'll be there. Back it now. First Man 2, Learning Curve.